Alright, so starting from line 1, we're going to import the input stream reader and then import a buffered reader. And then we're going to create a public class input program. And we're going to do everything from my main method. And start out by printing out standard input. And then inside the try catch block, I'm going to create a buffered reader, a new buffered reader, and a new input stream reader. It takes in system.in and create a string line. And then in the while loop, we're going to read from standard in and then print right back out what we read. And then we're going to create two strings, O and T, for option 1 and 2, and then create a boolean, has H, to determine from the command line if the user typed in -H. And then here we're going to check if arguments.length is 0, then we're just going to print out command line arguments and return, do nothing. Otherwise, if args.length is not 0, we're going to print out command line arguments. And then if the first argument is -O, then we're going to put in the second argument into our O string. And then we have to check if the arguments.length is greater than 2, because if we don't do that, we're going to get a null pointer exception. And then if args of 2 is T, then we're going to put args of 3 into our T string. And then we have to check again if args.length is greater than 3, because if we don't, we'll get a null pointer exception. And then if args of 4 is H, then we put has H to true. And in this else if args of 2 is H, we put has H as true. And then again we check if args.length is greater than 3. And then we check for T. And if they did put T, then since a word always follows T, we put args of 4 into our T right here. And then here in this else, we check the first command line argument. If it's T, we put in the second one into T. And then we have to check again if args.length is greater than 2. And then we check the third command line argument. If it's -O, then we put in the fourth command line argument into our O string. Then we check again if args.length is greater than 3. And then we check the last argument. If it's -H, then we put has H as true. And here we check the third command line argument. If it's H, then we put has H as true. And then we have to check the length again if it's greater than 3. And then if it is, O is the only option left here. And then if they did put O, then we put args of 4 into our O string. And then lastly, we check our third option. If our first argument is -H, then we put has H as true. And then we have to check the length again to be greater than 1, so we don't get a null pointer exception here. If our second command line argument is O, we put the third argument into our O string. Then we check if the length is greater than 3. And if args of 3 is T, then we put args of 4 into our T string. And else if our args of 1 is T, we put args of 2 into our T string, and then check if the length is greater than 3. And then if args of 3 is -O, then we put args of 4 into our O string. And then lastly here, we check if O is not the empty string, then we print out option 1 plus O. And then if T is not the empty string, we print out option 2 plus T. And then if has H is true, we print out option 3. And that's it.